I found her wedding dress hidden, but we weren't engaged. I wasn't snooping, I swear. I was just looking for an extra blanket in her closet when I saw it. A white garment bag, thick and heavy, tucked behind a stack of shoe boxes like a secret trying too hard not to be found. Curiosity got the better of me. I pulled it out, unzipped it, and my heart dropped. It was a wedding dress, a full-length, ivory gown with intricate lace along the sleeves and bodice. The kind of dress someone chooses carefully, lovingly, for what's supposed to be the best day of their life. Only, I hadn't proposed. I stood there, frozen, trying to convince myself this wasn't what it looked like. Maybe it was from a bridal shoot? A friend's dress? A leftover from a costume party? But then I noticed the receipt pinned to the hanger. It was dated 3 weeks ago, custom fitting, non-refundable, and it had her full name on it. That's when the first chill crept up my spine. We'd been dating for almost 2 years. Things were going great, at least I thought so. We'd talked about the future, but I hadn't even bought a ring yet. There was no engagement, no discussion of venues or dates or anything like that. So why did she already have a wedding dress? And more importantly, who was it for? I closed the closet slowly and sat on the edge of her bed, the weight of the discovery pressing down on me. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't ask her outright without revealing that I'd looked in her closet. But something told me I needed to dig deeper. Over the next few days, I paid closer attention to everything. Her phone habits, her sudden new work meetings, the way she kept glancing at her watch during dinner and texting someone when she thought I wasn't looking. And then, one night, she slipped and said she was meeting the coordinator. What coordinator? I asked, playing dumb. She froze for a second too long, then smiled. Oh, just a team-building coordinator from work. Liar. That night, while she was in the shower, I checked the calendar on her kitchen wall. Hidden behind a row of recipe cards in small cursive writing, I saw it. Rehearsal 3 p.m. at Rosewood Chapel. I snapped a photo of it. Rosewood Chapel was a wedding venue just outside the city. I'd driven past it once. Rustic, expensive, picturesque. It didn't take a genius to connect the dots. So I made a decision. I was going to that rehearsal. I didn't know what I expected to find. Maybe I hoped I was wrong. Maybe I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. But deep down I already knew, and I needed to see it with my own eyes. The day of the rehearsal arrived quicker than I expected. I had barely slept the night before, tossing and turning while imagining every possible scenario, each one worse than the last. I kept asking myself, was I about to catch the woman I loved preparing to marry someone else? Or was I walking into some bizarre misunderstanding that would blow up in my face? Either way, I had to know the truth. I couldn't keep pretending everything was normal while that dress haunted the back of my mind like a ghost. I got to Rosewood Chapel early. It was even more beautiful up close. White stone walls, towering oak doors, and a garden that looked straight out of a magazine. A place built for picture-perfect beginnings. The parking lot wasn't empty. A few sleek cars were already parked outside, and through the glass windows, I could see people milling around inside. Some were dressed up, others more casual, like they were just there for a quick walkthrough. I recognized none of them. That only made my stomach twist harder. I stayed in my car at first, debating whether to go in. But then I saw her. She walked out from the side entrance, laughing with someone. Her hair was curled, makeup done, wearing a soft pink dress like she was part of the bridal party. My breath caught in my throat. She looked radiant, happy, and completely oblivious to the fact that her boyfriend, me, was sitting just 50 feet away watching his entire world fall apart. Then he followed her out, tall, well-dressed, confident. He touched the small of her back like it was the most natural thing in the world. She didn't flinch. She didn't pull away. She leaned into him, smiling, like it was her place. I felt something inside me snap. It was true. It was all true. She was marrying someone else. I couldn't move. I just sat there, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. My vision blurred. Not from rage, at least not yet, but from this sharp, clean betrayal that cut deeper than anything I'd ever experienced. We had plans. We had memories. I'd introduced her to my friends, brought her home for the holidays, told her things I hadn't told anyone. And all this time, she was planning a wedding behind my back. Not with me, but with him. Eventually, they went back inside. I waited another 10 minutes, then got out of the car and headed to the entrance. My heart pounded in my chest like it was trying to warn me to turn back, but I kept walking. I needed to see how far this lie went. I needed to feel the burn of truth if I was ever going to heal from it. Inside, the chapel was dimly lit, elegant and quiet except for the murmur of people chatting and laughing. I slipped through the side aisle and found a spot near the back. No one paid much attention to me. I probably just looked like another vendor or late guest. At the front, there she was again, standing near the altar, practicing walking down the aisle with a bouquet in her hands. I watched in disbelief as her fiancé stood waiting for her, beaming like he'd just won the lottery. The officiant was giving them instructions, going over timing and cues. It was real. All of it. This wasn't a joke or a misunderstanding. She was rehearsing her vows while I stood in the shadows like a fool. And then, something inside me shifted. This wasn't going to end like this. I wasn't going to walk away quietly and let her live out her perfect little lie without consequence. If she wanted to play house while keeping me as a backup plan, she had severely underestimated who she was dealing with. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Not because I planned to post it online or cause a viral scandal. No, I had something better in mind. Something personal, direct, memorable. I stepped forward, walking slowly down the center aisle, keeping my camera steady. People started noticing me. First one head turned, then another. Murmurs spread like ripples in water. And finally, she saw me. Her smile faded instantly. Her eyes widened. She froze mid-step. I didn't stop. I walked straight up to her, right in front of everyone. Her groom looked confused, trying to figure out who I was. The officiant went silent. The entire room did. "Beautiful dress," I said loud enough for everyone to hear. "But you already knew I'd seen it." She opened her mouth, but no words came out. "You weren't going to tell me, were you?" I continued. "You were just going to let me keep loving you while you rehearsed marrying someone else." Her face turned pale. People gasped. The groom took a step forward like he was about to say something, but I held up a hand. "No need," I said. "I just came to say congratulations, and to return this." I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the key to her apartment. Slowly, deliberately, I dropped it at her feet. She stared down at it like it was a grenade. "You're going to need that space for all your wedding gifts," I said. Then I turned and walked out, leaving behind the woman I thought I was going to marry, now revealed to be a stranger in a white dress rehearsing a lie. I didn't drive home right away. Couldn't. I ended up parking at some overlook outside the city, staring down at the skyline while everything that had just happened crashed over me in waves. I kept replaying the look on her face, that exact moment when she saw me walking down the aisle toward her. That flicker of guilt, panic, and disbelief all tangled together. And I knew I had done the right thing. Still, there was this deep ache inside me, a kind of grief I hadn't been prepared for. Because as much as I hated her for what she did, part of me still remembered who I thought she was, who she pretended to be with me. The phone started buzzing nonstop. Calls, texts, some from her, some from mutual friends, a couple from numbers I didn't recognize. I didn't answer any of them. I didn't know anyone explanations, not yet. Not while my head was still spinning. I wanted silence, distance, time to think. But of course, the world doesn't let you heal quietly when drama explodes in a room full of people with phones and opinions. Later that night, I finally checked my messages. Her first one was short. "Please call me. I can explain." Then another. "You weren't supposed to find out like that. Like there was any right way to find out your girlfriend is engaged to someone else." She left a few voicemails too, her voice shaky, sometimes angry, sometimes pleading. But the worst one, she actually said, "It wasn't serious between us. Like 2 years of my life were just casual background noise while she planned her perfect ending with another guy." That hit me hard, because she knew exactly what she meant to me. The trips we took. The nights we stayed up talking. The times I showed up for her when her world felt like it was falling apart. I gave her everything real, and in return, she gave me a part-time illusion. But the longer I sat with it, the more something unexpected started bubbling up beneath the pain. Clarity. I wasn't just a victim here. I had been trusting someone blindly, ignoring red flags because I didn't want to believe they were there. I'd made her my future without ever checking if I was even part of hers. The next day, the calls stopped. Silence. Like she'd given up or switched focus back to the man who actually got the proposal. I figured that was it. She'd made her choice. Story over. But I was wrong. A week later, she showed up at my door. I opened it, and there she was, dressed casually, no makeup, eyes tired. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, but like someone who'd been deflated by the weight of their own lies. "I just want 5 minutes," she said softly. I stepped aside, wordless. I didn't know what she wanted, but I wanted to see if she had the courage to speak the truth to my face now that everything was out in the open. She sat on the couch while I leaned against the kitchen counter, arms crossed, waiting. The silence stretched between us like a canyon. "I didn't plan for this to happen," she finally said. "It started before you and I got serious. He proposed a year ago and I didn't know how to say no. My parents love him. Our families are connected. There was so much pressure and you what?" I cut in. "Decided to keep both lives going until one crashed?" She winced. "I thought I could choose before it got too far. I didn't mean to hurt you." "That's the thing," I said coldly. "You didn't hurt me by accident. You hurt me by decision. Every lie you told was a choice." She looked down, silent. Then she said something I didn't expect. "I called it off." I blinked. "What?" "The wedding. I ended it. After you left the chapel, everything just fell apart. He found out about you. It was a disaster. But I realized I couldn't go through with it. Not when I was still thinking about you. I should have felt vindicated. Maybe even triumphant. But all I felt was numb." "You don't get to say that now," I replied. "You don't get to pretend this was some romantic mess where you follow your heart and it leads you back to me. You lied. To both of us. For months." Tears welled up in her eyes, but I didn't feel moved. "Not anymore. I know I can't fix it," she whispered. "But I wanted you to know the truth." I nodded slowly. "Well, now I do." She stood up like she wanted to say more but couldn't find the words. I opened the door for her, and she left. That night I didn't feel broken. I felt clear, clean even, like the weight that had been pressing on my chest was finally gone. I knew I'd never get those years back, but I also knew I wasn't going to let them define me anymore. This wasn't just an ending. It was the beginning of something better, something honest. And I wasn't done yet. I had one more move to make. The days after she left my apartment felt strangely calm. Not peaceful. More like the silence after a storm has ripped through your house and you're standing there among the wreckage, trying to figure out what's still intact. I went back to my usual routines, but everything felt different. Quieter. I wasn't checking my phone constantly. I wasn't waiting for her texts or planning dinners or thinking ahead to weekends. I had space. And in that space, something surprising happened. I started to feel stronger. Still, her words haunted me. I called it off. Part of me kept asking, was that true? Or just another lie meant to soften the blow, to keep me from hating her completely? I wasn't going to take her word for it. Not after everything. But I wasn't obsessed with finding out either. What mattered more was what I did next. Because I realized something crucial. She didn't just lie to me. She made me question my own instincts, my self-worth, my ability to trust. And I couldn't let that stand. Not for her sake, but for mine. Then something unexpected happened. One of her bridesmaids, someone I'd met once at a dinner, messaged me. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity won out. "Hey, I don't want to get in the middle of anything, but you deserved better. Just so you know, a lot of us knew. We didn't know it was you, but we knew she was seeing someone else. He didn't. She kept everything separate. It was wrong. I'm sorry." That message hit harder than I expected. I don't know what bothered me more. The confirmation that people around her knew, or the fact that I'd been erased so completely from her other life that not even her closest friends knew my name. I wasn't even a secret worth mentioning. Just a shadow in the background of her perfect love story. But that gave me clarity. This wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. This was about reclaiming my dignity. And maybe, just maybe, sending a message that I wasn't going to disappear quietly. So I started writing. First, it was just journaling. Thoughts, memories, all the things I wanted to say to her but knew I never would. But the more I wrote, the more I realized there was power in it. Truth. And maybe a kind of justice. I turned the story into a letter. Not to her, but to myself. A goodbye. A full stop. But I didn't stop there. I had an idea. One that started as a joke in my mind, but the longer I sat with it, the more it made perfect sense. See, she had tried to live two lives, one with me in the shadows, and one with him in the spotlight. But now both had collapsed, and she was left standing in the ruins of her own lies. And I knew exactly how to close the book on this chapter. A friend of mine worked in event media. He owed me a favor. I asked if he still had the footage from the rehearsal. Turns out he did. She'd hired a small team to document everything, even the rehearsal day. They weren't supposed to film strangers, but apparently, someone had kept the footage running during my entrance. My confrontation. The moment I dropped the key at her feet. He sent it to me. Raw, unedited. I watched it once, then twice, and then I made a decision. I wasn't going to ruin her life. I wasn't going to post it online, or send it to her family, or humiliate her publicly. That wasn't the point. But I did want closure. And I wanted her to feel, for 1 second, what it meant to be on the outside looking in. So I sent her the clip. No message. No warning. Just the video file, titled, "The Moment You Lost Me." She saw it. Read the name of the file. Opened it. And I never heard from her again. But that wasn't the end. That was the spark. A week later, I got a message from someone else. A man I didn't recognize. His profile was private, his message short. "Hey, I think we need to talk. You're not the only one she lied to." That stopped me cold. I replied. We agreed to meet at a quiet coffee shop downtown. When he walked in, I recognized him instantly. It was her ex, or fiancé, or maybe just another piece of the puzzle she'd left behind. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. But there was something in his expression that told me this wasn't about confrontation. This was about truth. "I saw the video," he said. "One of the bridesmaids sent it to me after everything blew up. I didn't know about you. I didn't know she was seeing anyone else. But it explains a lot." We talked for over an hour. Swapped timelines. Compared notes. The overlaps were sickening. While I thought she was staying late for meetings, she was with him. While he thought she was out of town visiting family, she was curled up next to me watching old movies. She'd lived two lives so perfectly synchronized that it was almost impressive in a twisted way. But there was one thing he told me that made my blood run cold. She had a third apartment, he said. A place neither of us knew about. Found the lease after she left town. She paid cash. I think there were more of us. More? That changed everything. I thought I was the other man. Now I wasn't so sure I wasn't just one of many. The drive home from that meeting felt different. Like I had crossed a line I never expected to reach. Not just a personal one, but one that made me rethink every moment, every word, every memory I had of her. If what he said was true, then I hadn't been the backup plan or even the side piece. I had been one of a rotating cast of characters in a show she directed with terrifying precision. A web of parallel lives, carefully compartmentalized, each one designed to serve her image of perfection. But the scariest part? We had no idea how deep it went. The third apartment, what was it for? Who else had a key? And how many others were out there, still clueless, still planning anniversaries, or thinking about popping the question while she slipped through their lives like a ghost? For a while, I didn't know what to do with that information. I could have gone down the rabbit hole, hired someone, stalked her socials, followed every lead until I uncovered every last detail. But what would that give me? More pain? More betrayal? More reasons to doubt my own sanity? Instead, I made a different choice. I decided to talk. Not about her specifically, not by name, not with revenge in my voice, but about the experience. I started writing blog posts under a pseudonym. Just stories, thoughts, reflections on trust, on being blindsided, on waking up to realize the person you loved never actually existed. I didn't expect anyone to read them. I wasn't chasing sympathy. I just needed to get the poison out. But then something happened. People started messaging me. Not just friends or acquaintances, but strangers. People from different cities, different backgrounds, some men, some women. And they all said the same thing. This happened to me too. Their stories varied. Some were cheated on, some were lied to, some were manipulated for years, but the emotional thread was the same. The disbelief, the humiliation, the need for answers that never came. And I realized I had tapped into something much bigger than just my story. I had joined a chorus of people who had been burned by someone they trusted completely. People who had walked through the fire and were still trying to piece themselves back together. One message stood out. It was from a woman who said, "I read your third post, the one about seeing the dress, and I cried, because I found a ring in my boyfriend's drawer, engagement size, but he wasn't planning to give it to me. He was already married." That hit me harder than I expected. It wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about connection, about pulling the curtain back on these perfect, curated lies people live, about healing. Still, part of me couldn't let it go. Not the rage. Not the questions. So I went back to the third apartment. I still had the address from the guy she was engaged to. He'd given it to me like a warning or an invitation. I waited until the evening, parked a block away, walked up the stairs slowly. My heart was pounding, not from fear, but anticipation. I wasn't planning anything dramatic. I just wanted to see it for myself. The place where all the lies intersected. The hallway was quiet. Neutral beige walls, a soft carpet that muffled every step. When I reached her door, I paused, just listening. Nothing. No voices. No movement. Just silence. Then I noticed something odd. A small stack of mail tucked behind the doorknob. Nothing urgent. No late notices. But also no signs of life. It looked abandoned. I snapped a photo of the door, just for myself. Then I walked away. I didn't need to break in. I didn't need to confront her again. That chapter was already closed. Whatever secrets were in that apartment would stay there. And maybe that was the justice I needed. Not public humiliation, not revenge, but knowing that she would always have to live with what she'd done. No one maintains that level of deception forever. Eventually, even the best liars unravel. Maybe not in front of a crowd. Maybe not with a dramatic ending. But quietly, piece by piece, until they're left alone with the truth they worked so hard to bury. Weeks passed. I stopped checking for updates. I deleted the last of her photos. I gave away the things she left at my place. I let her ghost die. And then, one evening, I got a message that surprised me. It was from her. No name, just a short, trembling message. "I saw what you wrote. I know people are talking. I don't know who I am anymore." I stared at the screen for a long time, and then I deleted the message. No reply. That was the end. Not the dramatic closure she probably wanted. No screaming, no final scene. Just silence. The kind that speaks louder than any words ever could. So here I am now, on the other side, stronger, wiser, more cautious maybe, but not broken. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry anymore. I've learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about getting free. If you've been through something like this, if you've ever loved someone who made you feel invisible, who used your heart like a stepping stone, know this, you are not alone. And you are not weak. What broke you once doesn't define you. What you rebuild afterward does. Thanks for sticking with me through this story. If it resonated with you, if you felt something similar, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment, share your story, and don't forget to subscribe, because this isn't the end of my journey. It's just the beginning of a new one.